Listen, I know you all are tired, but is anybody excited to be in church today? Anybody at all excited? Man, I love it. That whole worship set was just amazing, and Amazing Grace. Come on, so good. I love that, and man, it's good to be with you. I love Sundays. This is my favorite place to be. You all are my favorite people, and pretending like I can sing like Bo Dukes in the front row is my favorite thing to do. All right, come on, who can't sing, but you just give it a go, all right? The face mask helped muffle it, right? Hey, if you're new here, I love it that you're here. And my name is Joel. I'm the campus pastor here. And we started this campus almost 10 years ago. Hello. Almost 10 years ago, so that a first-time guest could walk in here and feel like you are home. And so, welcome home. You know what the old saying is, home is where the basement is? Is that how it goes? I don't know. There's probably a better phrase than that, but we're really, really glad you're here. Also, really glad everybody is online that is watching right now. Can we give it up for our online family and all of our guests today? Show them some love. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's good to see you guys, and I want to show you guys a picture real quick of my dad. This is my dad. I don't know if you can tell the resemblance. My dad is our lead pastor. You don't really see him that often because he's always speaking live in Millsboro, but he's our lead pastor. This campus was his idea 10 years ago. He's going to be here in a few weeks, by the way. I'm not going to tell you when, just so you get surprised, right? But my dad just wrote his second book. And so I'm super pumped about this. It's called Having Hope in a World Without Hope. I mean, could there be a better title than that right now? And so listen, all I want you to do is I want you to shut down the Facebook machine and read a book. And it's only $10. Listen, I saw somebody's cup of Starbucks coffee this morning. It looked like a gallon, all right? I know it was $12.99. I know it was. This is only $10. And so when you leave today, you can grab one of these when you walk out of here. I started reading it yesterday. It is so good. The opening chapter is about my grandfather. I had all the feels, all right? I was crying in my room, all right? But it's really, really good. And so you gotta read that. And you can grab it when you walk out of here. Now, we lost an hour of sleep last night. Who's feeling a little tired? Like you're feeling the lack of hour of sleep? Come on, be honest in church. Some of you are just giving me one of these, all right? Who is a little tired? You're a little sleepy right now? I'm trying to help you all out. All right, I'm just trying to see who's going to be sleeping during my message today. No, keep your hand up if you're tired. I'm going to help you guys out. Hands up if you're tired. I have from home some of my own Mountain Dews. Nothing a little Mountain Dew won't solve. Okay, so here you go. Oh, you really want one, don't you? I mean, you're going to dislocate your arm. All right, I'm going to give you a little toss. You ready? Just shake it a little bit. Open it right now. It'll be great. The whole section will love you. All right, back here. Oh, Brian, you need one? All right, I'm going to walk this to you because I almost hurt you. I'm sorry about that. Our insurance will cover any damages, I'm sure. Anybody over here? Oh, Gage, there you go. Here you go. Here's one of my Mountain Dews. You're welcome, buddy. Listen, that is heaven's nectar that I just gave you. Now everybody's got to stay awake during the message. You have no excuses than to stay awake right now. But listen, I love Mountain Dew. Do you guys know that I love Mountain Dew? And those are my own personal Mountain Dews that I just gave out. And here's the thing, guys. I love Mountain Dew, but I quit drinking Mountain Dew this week. I quit drinking Mountain Dew. I am 3 days sober, you guys. Yes. So listen, no, that's it. That is all gone. Those are all my Mountain Dews. They are gone. I feel free and I feel really scared right now. If I start to go off the rails while I'm speaking today, like if things don't make sense, somebody just roll me a Mountain Dew back, all right? That's all it'll take for me to get back on track. But here's why I got rid of drinking Mountain Dew this week, because I have a problem. I drink too much Mountain Dew. I was drinking a Mountain Dew for breakfast, y'all. When you're drinking a Mountain Dew before Gayle King is on CBS this morning talking, you're off the rails. You know you've gone off the wagon. And so now I'm not drinking Mountain Dew for breakfast. I'm not drinking my morning dew. I'm drinking water. And I'm eating avocado toast for breakfast. Listen, I grew up in a hillbilly town in Sussex County. If you said avocado toast, you would get kicked out of the town. You would get turned into Scrapple, which Scrapple sounds really good to me right now. But like, I'm trying to do better. And for 10 days, I've been eating good. And for 3 days, I've had no Mountain Dews. And so I'm kind of at that place right now where I'm really craving some food. You ever been there before? This week, man, I've been thinking about Baskin Robbins. I've been thinking about Hershey Kisses. I've been thinking about Tostitos. I am preaching right now. Buffalo chicken dip. I've been thinking about all this stuff right now. And you know what's interesting about all those things, that is, Tostitos and Buffalo chicken dip and all those things? Here you go. You just lost your Mountain Dew, man. Oh, this is for me? You're tempting me with, you're rolling up Mountain Dews while I'm preaching. Major Melon. I never even heard of this. Okay. I mean, what's one more going to hurt? I don't know. Just, that was not planned. That was not planned, was it? Jeez, I'm about to give that away. Anyway, I don't know where I was. Oh, I was talking about Tostitos, Baskin Robbins, Hershey Kisses, Mountain Dew. You know what's interesting about those things? Baskin Robbins, Tostitos, Hershey Kisses. Did you know that in all of their logos, they have hidden things? Did you know that? Hidden things to get us. And so I thought I'd show you some of these hidden things in these logos. Well, let's start with Baskin Robbins. Who loves some Baskin Robbins? Oh, man. Once you see, though, what I'm about to show you in this logo, you'll never see this logo the same. Like, you will always see this. Who sees the number 31? Who sees it? Who just saw it for the first time? That's like half the room. 31 is right here. You got the 3 and you got the 1. And the reason why is at some point, Baskin Robbins only had 31 different ice cream flavors. They had 31 different ice cream flavors because their philosophy was everybody should be able to have a new flavor of ice cream every single day of the month. That's a philosophy I can get behind right there. All right, that's how I'm feeling right there. All right, let me show you another one. Hershey Kisses. These are my daughter's favorite, all right? She would walk away from my family for some Hershey Kisses. She loves Hershey Kisses. How many Hershey Kisses you see? 2? Who sees 2? Who sees 7? Who sees, if you saw 7, you drank way too much Mountain Dew this morning. 3. Who sees 3? Okay, 2 people. All right, there are 3 Hershey Kisses in this. You have this one, and then look sideways. You see this guy right there? You see it? Oh, yeah, now do you see it? You can't unsee it, right? You see it? Who's still confused? Some of you are like, this is great, all right? I'm taking notes for the 3 Hershey Kisses in the logo. All right, let me show you one last one, Tostitos. And I just kind of like feel agave flashing before my eyes as I talk about Tostitos. There are 2 people in this logo celebrating because they are eating chips and salsa together. Who doesn't see the 2 people celebrating? Nobody's admitting it. All right, who sees them? Who sees them? All right, look at them. They're right here. They got their chips and salsa in the middle. They're sharing a chip. I don't think you can do that during a pandemic, but they're sharing a chip. Celebrating. I'd be celebrating if I could eat some chips and salsa right now. 10 days of no food. This is making me hungry right here. But now that you see this, when you go in the grocery store, you're going to see the 2 people, aren't you? Now, I know some of you right now are like, man, this is great. What's this got to do with me and God? And are you all giving out like free Hershey Kisses when we leave today? Because you know how we like to give away free stuff. Who would like a free Hershey Kiss when you leave today? Okay, I totally forgot the Hershey Kisses, so I don't have any Hershey Kisses for you. Sometimes I forget things, and sometimes I mess things up around here. If I ever make you upset because I forgot the Hershey Kisses or because I say something I shouldn't say, you can always email me any complaints you have. You can email me at Cotter@BayShore It's a .com. It's not a .org. It's a .com. Love you, Cotter. I love Lucky Charms too, man. Like, I love those. That was a great call this morning. But here's why I brought all of those things up and showed you what you can't see, all right? We're in this series called Love Rules, and I want to just share with you my favorite story that Jesus ever told today. And I love this story, but finding Jesus in this story that he told, it's sort of like finding those hidden images in the Baskin Robbins logo and the Tostitos logo and the Hershey Kisses logo. Like, it's hard to see Jesus in this story, but once you see him, you can't unsee him. And isn't it true that sometimes in our life when we go through some things in life, like we have a hard time seeing Jesus too? Have you ever noticed that before? Like sometimes in life we're like, Jesus, I got 99 problems. And are you camouflaged right now? Because I don't see you. Have you ever had that happen before? When we're on the struggle bus in life, like when you're on the love struggle bus, or when you're on like the money. Money, there it is. 2 people help me out, thank you. When you're on the money struggle bus, or when you're on the health struggle bus, or when you are on the Philadelphia Eagles struggle bus, just get on a different bus. Get on the Ravens bus. No struggle at all. It's good, man. Glory. But when we're on the struggle bus, we have a hard time seeing Jesus, right? And it's just kind of like those logos. It's like kind of hard to see those things. Sometimes in life it's hard to see Jesus. And listen, I know Jesus is always with us. I'm the preacher. I know that. But sometimes it is hard to see him, which is just like the story I'm going to show you all today. Jesus is hard to see, but once you see him, you can't unsee him. Once you see him, you cannot unsee him. And so we're just going to walk through this story together. A lot of you have probably heard this story before. Before we kind of go through it, if you don't own a Bible, please don't leave today without stopping by the welcome table and taking one of the Bibles on the table there. They're orange and they are free and orange. That's a good combo right there, right? And if you want one and you don't like to talk to people, you don't even have to talk to them. You just grab one and walk away. Like if you've ever wanted to know what it's like to steal something, just act like you're stealing. Like take it, put it in your jacket, and run. No, security won't even come after you. They're free. All right, so. But in the meantime, let's look at this screen. Here's how the story starts. Luke 15, starting at verse 11. Jesus told them this story. A man had 2 sons. Now, let's pause right there. Jesus right here is doing what's called character development. And he's kind of setting up who's going to be in this story. Now, every good story has good character development. Every good movie has good character development. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you some people from some different movies. And when you see their picture on the screen, you just tell me if they're a good character or a bad character. Good guy or bad guy. Deal? You guys going to play along? All right. So let's go with this first one. One of my favorite movies of all time, Toy Story. Woody. Is Woody a good character or bad character? Good guy or bad guy? Good guy. Except he did try to murder Buzz in the first one. You remember that? Like he tried to kick Buzz out of the second story window. You got a friend in me. Get out of here, Buzz. Other than the murder attempt, he is a good guy. I would agree. Let me show you somebody else. We got Darth Vader from Star Wars. Good character, bad character. Good guy or bad guy? It's complicated. Me and Stacy have had heated discussions about this, and I think he's good. Stacy thinks he's bad, and Stacy is always right. So I guess he's bad. All right, who said he's bad? Okay, Team Stacy, that's the right answer in church for right now. All right, another one. We got Jack Nicholson from The Shining. Bad. Who here has seen this movie? Who's seen The Shining? You just admitted to watching The Shining in church. It's a good thing you're here. All right, somebody said, here's Johnny. Listen, I don't do scary movies. I have never seen this movie all the way through, and I will never see this movie all the way through because I want to live another day, all right? So, but I imagine he's a bad guy in this. All right, last one. We have Rose from the Titanic. Good character or bad character? Good or bad? Bad. Mixed. Bad. She's the worst because there was room for Jack on that door. Amen. Listen, at the end, she's like, I'll never let you go, Jack. Yeah, right. What she should have said is, Jack, I will never let you on my door. It's like a queen size, you ain't getting on. She's bad, all right? She's worse than Woody, okay? She is bad. She did murder. Anyway, all right, let's go back to the story. Look at this verse. This is called character development. We just went through some character development with some movies. We have 3 characters in this story. We have a man and 2 sons. And here's who these characters represent. The man is the dad in the story, the father. He represents God. The older son in this story represents religion. And we're not even going to talk about him today. So no confusion, just scrub him. And then the younger son equals rebellion, is rebellious, okay? And this is easy for me to remember because my youngest son also represents rebellion. Who's got at least one rebellious kid? This is therapeutic to see other people have rebellious kids. So these are our characters in this story. Now, question, where's Jesus? I don't see Jesus yet. Now, I know some of you are technical. You're like, well, because of the Trinity thing, God is Jesus and Jesus is God, which isn't confusing at all. I get that. But I'm talking about like, where is the character Jesus in the story? Because I think he's going to be in this story, but I don't see him yet. So let's keep going. We'll probably bump into him. Verse 12, it says this: the younger son, who represents rebellion, which, by the way, rebellion, that's all of us. We all represent the younger son at one point or another. So the younger son told his father, who represents who? God, all right? God is always the right answer in church. The younger son told his father, who represents God, I want my share of your estate now before you die. Pause. This is not a smart thing to say to your dad. Like, nobody should go home today and say, hey, Dad, I'm going to need your 85-inch TV and the side of your Buick, okay? Like, just throw that in there. Like, that is not smart, but the younger son essentially is like, hey, Dad, I kind of wish you weren't around so I could get your inheritance, and so let's see what happens. So his father, who represents God, agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. Now, in Jewish culture, that would have meant that the oldest son would have gotten twice as much as the youngest son, but the youngest son is still getting hooked up in this situation. So he agreed to divide it all, and a few days later, this younger son packed all his belongings, moved to a distant land, and there he, what's this word? Wasted. Everybody say wasted. Wasted all his money on wild living. Now, question. Who here has ever done something stupid? Who's ever done something stupid? In the first service, people were pointing at their spouse, okay, which, not good. All right, one more time. Who's done something stupid? All right, we got some overachievers at Bayshore. We've all done something stupid. Wouldn't it be nice if before you did something stupid, if somebody would like warn you and like give you a heads up, like don't do that? Wouldn't that be nice? I remember the very first time I tried sushi. Stacy and I, we had just started dating, and we were in that phase where we were in love, you know? Well, we're still in love, but, you know, there's a different, you know. I didn't say that in the first service. She was here. I'm glad that came out in the second service. But we were in that phase where we would, like, do anything, you know? And so, like, I remember her brother said, hey, let's all go get sushi. I had never had sushi. I grew up in, like, Gumboro. There was not sushi in Gumboro. And so, like, I never had sushi, and so we all go, and I go, Stacy's dad goes, Stacy's dad, he is from really inland Sussex County, all right? And listen, there is kind of like sushi inland Sussex County. It's called muskrat. It's a little different texture. He's, you know. But Jay or I had never had, like, real sushi, and so we sit down, and I'll never forget, Stacy's brother ordered a raw quail egg. And he ate a raw quail. That's the first thing that happened. He sat there, and he's having a moment with the quail egg. He's like, you know, in it. He's got like he's like getting in it. And I like, he's like, And me and Jay are like, We had no idea what was coming. And finally, our sushi came, and I never knew how to like do the sushi thing, and so Stacy was like helping me and her dad. And so she's getting us like the soy sauce. She put the ginger in the soy sauce, and then Stacy's dad saw this like the green ball on his plate, and he's like, "Hey, Stace, what's this green ball?" And she's like, "No, Dad, that's wasabi. That is hot." And Stacy's dad, no lie, before anybody could say anything, he's like, "Oh man, I like hot stuff." Put the whole thing on a roll of sushi and took his very first bite of sushi. He didn't know. I didn't know. I looked at Jay. I was like, hey, man, is it good? And he looks at me like, I think he was hallucinating at the table. He was like having a moment. But listen, Stacy warned him. And warnings are good. How many of you enjoy a good warning? Have you ever been on a bad first date? Anybody ever been on a bad first date? Maybe you're on one right now. I don't know. But somebody say, listen, they may be hot, but they're crazy. Don't go. Sometimes hot and crazy hold hands. You know that? Anyway, but a warning would be nice in life. Like, hey, don't go to that party. Don't take that drink. Don't take that phone call. Don't go out with that person. Don't buy GameStop stock at $250 or $500. Like, warnings would be great, right? And the reason you want a good warning, like, because you don't want to regret things in your life. And the reason I say regret things is because if you could put that verse back up, it says that this son, what did he do? He wastes his life. Nobody wants to waste their life. Now, I've been going to church since I was minus 9 months old. Some of you will get that on the ride home. Been going to church my whole life and before. And I've heard a lot of preachers talk about this story. And I've heard them say, oh, this kid went off. He wasted his life. He was sinning and he wasn't having no fun. Listen, if you don't think sin is fun, you're not doing it right. Sin, you know why they call it temptation? Because it's fun. Hello. Some of you are like, oh man, I like this preacher. Sin is fun. Sin is fun, but if you're taking notes and saying sin is fun, take this note. Sin is also like a sneeze. It feels good when it's happening, but then you got a mess on your hands. Listen, you will remember it. You will remember it. And it checks out theologically. That whole, it makes sense. But this would be a perfect place for Jesus to pop in and say, hey, warning, don't do it. This is going to make a mess. This is going to be hotter than wasabi in your life. It is not good. Don't do this. This would be a perfect place for Jesus to pop up, but I don't see Jesus yet. So let's keep going and see if we can run into him. Verse 14. Okay, so the son wastes his life. It says, about the time his money ran out. So all the money's gone. A great famine swept over the land. And so now you got two things happening because when it rains, it pours. Isn't that true a lot of times? And it says he began to, what's this word? Starve. I haven't eaten good food in 10 days, guys. I am starving. And he's starving. And just hang on to that fact that he's hungry here. So he says he began to starve. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him. And the man sent him into his fields to feed the pigs. So things go from a party to pigs, like fast. And the young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him, but no one gave him anything. Listen, this would be a great time for Jesus to make a dramatic entrance, wouldn't it? Like if this were a movie, you could like cue the gospel choir music at this point, like make the smoke machine shoot a bunch of smoke into the scene, and Jesus could kind of like levitate down into the pig pen like he's, Buzz Lightyear. And he could say to the son, like, you got a friend in me. This would be a perfect place for Jesus to do that, right? I mean, he is a healer. He is like the Savior. This would be a perfect place for Jesus to show up in the story. But isn't it true that sometimes when Jesus seems most absent, that's when we need him to be most present? Sometimes when Jesus seems most absent, that's when we need him to be most present. So we don't see Jesus in the story. So let's keep going. We'll see what happens next. It says, when the son came to his senses, he said to himself, at home, even the hired servants have food enough to spare. And here I am dying of hunger. Can you tell my man is hungry? I'm dying of hunger. I will go home to my father and say, now he writes a speech down. And I imagine he writes it on his hands like, okay, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. P.S. Can I have some of your breakfast? I'm hungry. So he has this speech written, and so he returned home to his father. Now, I just pointed out 4 different references to hunger and food in the last 6 verses. All right, can you tell I'm hungry? But listen, can you tell that the son is hungry? 4 times in 6 verses is like hunger, starving, hungry. Like this son is motivated to go home because he is hungry. Have you ever been motivated by food? Anybody ever been motivated by food in the room? Have you ever gone somewhere or not gone somewhere because of the food involved? Yes. I remember being motivated by food a few years ago. My friend Eddie called me, and my friend Eddie was like, hey, Joel, I got the pay-per-view fight for Saturday night. You got to come over. You got to come over. Now, I don't know anything about pay-per-view fights. I don't know anything about boxing. I know as much about boxing as I know about eating raw quail eggs. Like, I don't know anything about it. And so he's like, you got to come over. You got to watch. It's the Mayweather fight. I'm like, and I'm thinking of isn't that the name of the ship that brought the Pilgrims over? Isn't that the Plymouth Rock? And then I'm like, no, that's the Mayflower. I'm thinking about pilgrims and all this stuff. And he's like, no, Joe, it's going to be a good fight. It's the Mayweather. It's going to be a good fight. Listen, I have 2 kids at home. If I want to see a good fight, all I got to do is put 1 Hershey Kiss on the counter and just tell my kids to share it. That's all it takes. Listen, my kids will throw down in the kitchen over a single Hershey Kiss. No pay-per-view required. It's totally free. How many of you got kids that'll just throw down whenever you just need them to or when you don't need them to? Yes. And so I'm thinking like, well, I'm not going to go because like, I don't know anything about fighting. I don't know anything about this. I don't really care about this. I'm thinking of excuses as he's talking, you know what I mean? And then he said, Joel, I'm cooking steak. Oh. And you need to know this about my friend Eddie. He's the best cook I know. He is amazing. If he called me and said, Joel, I'm cooking muskrat tonight, I'd be like, I'm over. Come on, let's go. I'll eat the tail. Just put some wasabi on it, whatever. Like, if he made it, it's going to be good. And so he's like, Joel, I'm cooking steak. Are you going to come? And I was like, let me pray about it. Yes, I will be there. And I don't know who won that fight that night. I don't know if the Mayweather won, the Mayflower won, or the Pilgrims won. I don't know. But I know that the steak won in my belly. Like, it was good. And I was motivated by food. And sometimes we get motivated by food. Have you ever like seen a food commercial, and you're like, oh. Like, honey, forget what Jillian Michael said. We're going to Red Lobster tonight. Did you see when that shrimp splashed into that butter bucket? Like, we're going. And we get motivated by food. And in this story, this son is motivated to go see his dad because of food. It says 4 times, like I just said, 4 times in 6 verses. It's like, he's hungry. He's starving. There's food over there. He's hungrier than a tourist standing in line at Thrasher's. Like, he is hungry. He's hungry. So here's my question. This is not a trick question. Anybody can answer this question. Is the son motivated to go see his dad to get his father's love, or his father's food? Love or food, love or food, love or food, love or food? Food. This son has the wrong motivation. But did you know that God can take a wrong motivation and still use it for good? Did you know that? God can take a wrong motivation and still use it for good. I remember when I was 19 years old, and I saw my wife, Stacy, for the very first time. Mm-hmm. Now, I always tell you about the time I saw her for the very first time, and really the time I normally tell you all is the second time I saw her, but the real first time actually happened at church, and when I was 19 years old, on Sunday nights, we had something at church called The Edge. It was this college church service. My buddy Josh would preach. They'd always have this music, and all of my friends, we would all go for one reason: to get a date. Now we told each other, we're like, oh man, I'm just here to seek the Lord. Yeah, but during like the prayer, we like open one eye. We're like, no, I'm seeking something else too, you know? And so one Sunday night, guess who walked into church for the very first time? My wife, Stacy. And I was like, woo, it is hot in here, man. And like, I was trying to pay attention to my friend Josh preach, but like, we have actual footage of me while I was seeing Stacy and trying to pay attention to Josh preach. You guys want to see it? Okay, this is me, 19 years old, when I saw Stacy for the first time. Oh, nope. Oh, nope. I was just like creepy side-eye staring at her. You know, like. And here's what's funny about that. I can watch you guys when you guys do that in the church service because I'm looking right at you. But listen, what's funny about that night that I saw her for the first time, we didn't even talk to each other. I was too scared to talk to her. I just kind of like gave her the creepy side-eye look situation. But do you know, I did not miss another Sunday night for like a year straight after that. I was like, listen, I know I'm supposed to be paying attention and all that, you know, and my mind is telling me no, but my body, okay, like I just needed to be there to see if I could meet Stacy. And we met, and eventually, you know, we fell in love, but my motivation was wrong for going to church. But we met, we fell in love, and we also fell in love with Jesus. We got engaged in that very same room that I saw her for the very first time. We stood on the altar or the stage of that very room that I saw her for the first time and got married to each other. I announced to the Millsboro campus in that room that I was going to come and lead the Rehoboth campus. Some amazing things happen out of a wrong motivation. And sometimes God can take a wrong motivation and do something good with it. And so listen, I don't know why you're here today. Maybe somebody lied to you and told you they were taking you to Giant. And you walked in here and you're like, wait, this isn't Giant. Maybe it's the clearance section. I don't know. I've never been in here. I don't know why you're here, but I do know that God can take a wrong motivation and still use it for good. And in this story, this son wanted to go see his dad because he had the wrong motivation. He wanted food. So let's kind of see what happens when the son shows up. But just let me backtrack. The son had already wrote the speech. You know, he's got it on his hand. He's ready to tell his dad, like, hey, Dad, I sinned. You don't have to call me your son, but you can call me a slave. I just want to eat. Can you feed me? Like he's got his thing ready. And this will be a perfect place for Jesus to like pop out and be like, you're not a slave, you're a son. Because who the son sets free will be free indeed. Like this will be a perfect place for Jesus. But let's see what happens. It says in verse 20, and while he was still a long way off, the younger son, when he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. Everybody say, uh-oh. Listen, if I messed up like this kid and then I was coming home, I saw my dad coming, I'd be freaking out. I remember when I was a kid, my mom had these like 2 big bags of rubber bands. And I don't know why she had these big bags of rubber bands, but she had these 2 giant bags of rubber bands. And one Friday night, I had all my friends over, and we were bored. Because when I was a kid, we didn't have TikTok. We had a yard. You remember yards? We had one of those. We had a yard. And we were bored, and I don't know if it was my idea or one of my friends' ideas, but we were like, hey, let's tie all of these rubber bands together in these bags, and let's make one giant 50-foot-long rubber band. And that sounded great to us, so we did that. We made this giant rubber band, and then we're like, let's attach it to the mailbox out by the road, and let's pull the rubber band all the way back to behind the house so we can hide, and whenever cars go by, we'll just shoot them with a rubber band. 100% true. And we did it, and it was fun. Because if sin isn't fun, you're doing it wrong. And it was fun until 2 things happened. Number 1, we hit like some good old boy's truck, probably with some muskrats in the back, and he like slammed on the brakes, like, "Arr!" And my mom heard him slam on the brakes from inside the house. She came out to see what we were doing, and she saw me hide behind the house, and she saw what I was doing, and she said, you wait till your dad gets home. Who heard that line at Timer 10 growing up? Like, wait till your dad gets home. Was that ever good news? Never good news, okay? So my dad came home, and I don't really remember the next 10 years of my life, okay? So, but if I'm the kid who took the inheritance, if I'm the kid who wasted it all, just kind of like made a mess, and I come home and I see dad coming at me, you know, there is an emoji for this moment, all right? Here is the emoji for this moment. That's the moment. That is what this kid has got to be feeling, because when we mess up, we're like, somebody's going to get me. You know, dad's going to get me. God's going to get me. Oprah's going to get me. Somebody's going to get me. Somebody's going to get me. And so let's see what happens. It says in the second half of verse 20, and while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming, filled with what? Love and compassion. He ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. Man, there's something about this picture. For me, maybe for you, just makes me emotional. You know, this idea of like this reunion and this image of this father and son just like having this moment, like that gets me. It gets me every time. Like I the other night I was cooking dinner, and WBOC did this local story where they showed a clip of this kid coming out of his classroom, little kid. And as soon as he walked out of his classroom, his dad was standing there in full military gear. And they hadn't seen each other, I guess, for months. And as soon as the dad and the son saw each other, like the kid ran to his dad and the dad ran to the kid, and they were hugging and they were crying. And I'm in my kitchen and I'm crying watching WBOC. And it was like this moment. And then like it moved on real quick. Next thing you know, Dan Satterfield was like, it's a chilly night out there. I was like, we need a little more space in between these moments. But when you imagine this dad who represents God, and this younger son who represents us, rebellion, and they just, run to each other, and the dad runs and grabs him, and the kid, smells like pigs, and he's got, mud all over him, and they just embrace, like, man, I love that part of this story. It's love and compassion in action, right? And I just want you to know, if you're kind of new around here, this is a church that is all about love and compassion. Maybe you walked in here and you expected shame and condemnation because, you've been to that church. I've been to that church too. But this church is all about love and compassion. And so that means you can walk in here high, you can walk in here drunk, you can walk in here like a rehab dropout, you can walk in here divorced, you can walk in here bad, sad, mad, or a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And we are going to show you love and compassion. Because to us, listen, it doesn't matter what's in your past. It matters what Jesus wants to do with your future. It doesn't matter what you have done. To us, it matters what Jesus wants to do in your life. It doesn't matter what labels have been put on you. It matters that Jesus wants to label you as forgiven. And around here, we are not going to look down on anybody who ever walks in our doors. The only time we'll look down on somebody is to reach down and help pick them up. Period. End of story. No caveats. That's what our church is all about. It's about love and compassion. We're about love and compassion because when the son came home, his father showed him love and compassion. And so when people come home to their church home, we're going to show them love and compassion. So let's watch what happens next. We have that reunion moment. And then his son said to him, okay, so the son gets out his speech. Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Can I have some breakfast? I'm hungry. But his father said to the servants, quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet, because they are about to partay. Everybody say, it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie. Come on, all on family. Put a lightning bolt emoji, whatever you got to do in there. It's electric. They're on the electric side. This son expected condemnation, and he got a celebration. And maybe you expected to walk into church today and get condemnation. But how many of you are glad that when you come home, that's not what God gives us? He gives us love and grace. And so the son walks in, and the dad throws a party for the son. And this is why I love this story. It's so good. But question, where's Jesus? I didn't see Jesus at any point yet. And so well, let me show you what I saw this week for the first time. And once you see what I'm about to show you, you can't unsee it. All right, it's kind of like those logos we looked at earlier, like the Baskin-Robbins logo. Once you saw the 31, you can't unsee it, and you kind of want some Baskin-Robbins. Once you saw the Hershey Kisses third kiss, you can't unsee this. Once you saw the two people having a party over some Tostitos, you can't unsee this. And so what I'm about to show you, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Where's Jesus in this story? Let's look back at this. But his father said to the servants, quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet. So we're about to have a party. And kill the calf we have been fattening this entire time. We must celebrate with a feast. For this son of mine was dead and is now returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found. And so the party began because the calf gave up his life. Jesus was getting ready the entire time. I never seen this before. The whole time, Jesus is getting ready so he can give up his life so that his son could get what he needed. This whole time, the calf was getting ready. Jesus was getting ready so that the son could be not a slave, but so he could be free. Jesus is the calf. He gave up his life so that me and so that you and so that everybody who's watching online and the younger son, so all of us could be free. So that all of us could be invited to the Jesus party. And now that you see this, you can't unsee it. You always see this in the story. It's amazing because the younger son represents all of us. But Jesus gave up his life so that you and I wouldn't have to be slaves, so that we could be free and we could be invited to the Jesus party. I'll end with this. Last Sunday, I preached at our Millsboro campus. The very same room I preached in was the same room I saw Stacy for the very first time. And as soon as I got off the stage, this girl named Chelsea, beeline for Stacy and I in the front row. She came right over to us, and she said her name was Chelsea, and she said, "This is my first time in church." I love that. I love those kind of stories. And she's like, "This is my first time in church." And she said, "Do you do the salvation thing?" And she didn't know even what to ask. I said, you mean you want to start following Jesus? And she's like, "Yeah, I want to start following Jesus." And I said, "Tell me, just real quick, just tell me about it." And she said, "Well, I walked into church today and I wanted to give up. But I'm walking out of church today and I want to give up my life to Jesus." And I'm like, "Oh, Chelsea, that's amazing." And she said, "But I don't know how to do it." I said, "Well, let me tell you something, Chelsea." I said, "A lot of people will tell you, you got to jump through this hoop, you got to clean this mess up, you got to make this call, you got to do all these things to kind of fix everything, fix it, and then you can maybe we'll see and you take a class." No. I said, "That's not in the Bible." What's in the Bible is that if you believe in your heart and you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, you're saved. And we can have a Jesus party right here. And I said, "You want to do that?" She said, "Yeah." And we prayed that prayer. And as soon as we got done praying that prayer, we were all like, "Chelsea, this is amazing. You're going to be at the Jesus party." And she was so happy. And let me just tell you, every one of us get an invitation to that party. And Jesus has been getting ready the entire time, your entire life, so that he could lay down his life so that you could have a new life. And all you got to do is just say, "I believe that you are the Son of God." You believe in your heart and you confess it with your mouth, and you're saved. And that doesn't mean you won't ever have doubts, you won't have any questions. Listen, there are people in the Bible that are Jesus' disciples who have a nickname, and their nickname is Doubting Thomas. And so it just means in general, you believe that Jesus is Lord and that he saved you and died for you. And you will still have moments of doubt, but you are trusting in Jesus. And then you get to be a part of the party. And so I just want to invite everybody to that party. If you could just close your eyes and lower your heads. And if you're a Jesus follower, I just want you to repeat these words after me. And if you are not a Jesus follower, but you're like Chelsea, and you walked in here today and you're walking out wanting to say, hey, I want to give up my life to you, Jesus. Let's just all say this out loud together. Dear Jesus, I believe in my heart that you're the Son of God. And I believe you died for my sins. You died for my rebellion to give me forgiveness and freedom. Today I accept that forgiveness and freedom. And I believe you're alive and you're alive in me. Today I will follow you. I love you, Jesus. Amen.